good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art, and it's Wednesday. Let's create. Not only is it Wednesday, it is Wednesday, July the 1st, the last day of July, which means it's also the last day of the bonus days. So if you've been waiting to get in on those bonus days, today is your last chance. Tonight we're going to be creating something called a Gabled card, and we're going to be using a couple of things from the annual Stampin' Up! Catalog to do this. This just started at the beginning of May, and we're going to be using a paper collection that is kind of hidden in the catalog. Have you ever noticed there's a few little hidden gems in there? And if you're looking for it, you'll find it listed on page 107. And you'll see it way down here, just a little note that says Nature's Sweetness Specialty Designer Series paper. And you will see it featured here on this card. And so we're going to be using Nature's Sweetness. Now, if you go online and look for it, you'll get to see more images of the different papers that are involved. It's a gorgeous collection. There's gold foiling in it. It's lovely, lovely paper. And then we're also going to be using a sentiment from the Country Flowers stamp set for this card tonight. And let's get started. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later, you can just say you're watching on replay and drop a comment. I love to hear from you guys. I see that my mom is watching. Good evening, Mom. And so we're going to start our Gabled card with a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock. And I don't know how well the color of this shows up on your screen, but it is a beautiful green color. And this piece is 11¼ inches by 5½. Now, if you're one of those people who likes to write down the measurements and you're furiously scribbling, don't worry, because when I post the rest of the description in the comments, I will post the dimensions as well. So that will help you out. So if you miss something while you're furiously scribbling, you will find it, just scroll down into the description of the video. And if you see it on the Facebook page later, it'll be in the description as well. So again, Mossy Meadow cardstock, 11¼ by 5½. And we're going to start with some scoring. So I'm just grabbing my scoreboard, Simply Scored. Let's make sure we're all in the frame so we can see the measurements here. Takes a minute for my video to catch up. There we go, getting down there. All right, so we're gonna line our cardstock up against the top ruler, and we're going to be scoring along the 11¼ inch side. Our first score line will be at 1 7/8. So we're just going to score there at 1 7/8. Our second score line will be at 3 3/4. So 3 3/4. We're going to do this twice just to make sure I did it right. And then we're going to score at 7½. And I like to always kind of like run my stylus down from where the line is to make sure I'm in the right groove. So 7½. Again, we'll do it twice. 7½. And then 9 3/4. Right there. So 9 3/4. So let me run through those again. We've got 1 7/8, 3 3/4, 7½, and 9 3/8. Okay. Now we are going to be doing some more scoring. I'm going to keep my stylus on hand, but we're not going to use the scoreboard for it because sometimes that's just how it happens. All right, we're going to take our piece of cardstock, and I'm going to line it up here on my mat. And now you might not be able to see all the way to the bottom, but that's okay. you will get the idea of what's happening. We're going to line up with our big ruler here at 1 7/8. So I'm going to just find 1 7/8. So 1 7/8, if you go to 1 3/4, and it's halfway between 1 3/4 and 2 inches. So I'm just going to line my ruler up at 1 7/8. And what I want to do is I want to make a little mark on the edge. Then I'm going to make a mark on these 2 score lines that are on either side of the wide center panel. And then I'm also going to score this outside edge, like so. So we've drawn a little mark at 1 7/8 inch from the top at the 2 outside edges, skipping this score line and marking at this score line. Okay, so the 2 score lines that are on either side of the center panel. We also need to mark the center of the top of our big section here in the center, which means we need to mark it at 5 5/8. So we're going to go to 5 1/2, and 5/8 is halfway in between 5 1/2 and 5 3/4. So we're going to make a little pencil mark there as well. Okay, now we're going to do some scoring. Stick with me, we're going to get there. From this second score line where we marked the 1 7/8, I know it's hard to see because dark paper and such, we've got it marked at 1 7/8. I'm just going to put my stylus right there. What I want to do is I want to create an angle going from this first score line, the 1 7/8, all the way down to this second score line at our mark, which is also at 1 7/8. So let's line our ruler up and we're going to score that diagonal. Okay, now we're going to keep our stylus there at the 1 7/8 on the score line. And this time we're going to turn our ruler over so we're at this score line at the top of the center panel. And we're going to score this diagonal. We're going to make a zigzag going across here. Now we're going to go from this top of the center panel to this score line on the other side of the large panel to the mark 1 7/8 from the top. And we're going to score that like so. So we're going up and down and up and down. Now we're going to turn our ruler and we're going to go from this score line here to the very top of the last score line. Just a lot of ups and downs. It's just like life. A lot of ups and downs. And there we go. We have done our scoring. And now we can do our creasing. So we're going to start by folding on this 2 score lines that are on opposite sides of the big center panel. So let's take this score line, make sure everything lines up top and bottom, give it a nice crease down. Then we're going to come to the opposite side, make sure everything lines up, score it and crease it. So now we have this one that's closed and we're going to fold it back on itself. Now I'm just looking at this and I think I actually scored that first score line slightly wrong. It's slightly off. So let me grab my scoreboard. This happens sometimes. You just go with it. I was supposed to score it at 1 7/8, and I scored it at 1 1/2. So I'm going to just correct that, like so. And then I'm also going to need to correct my diagonal. Now, the measurements that I said out loud were correct. So if you've written them down or you've been working along with me, you're going to be just fine. It's just me. So now I'm just going to redo this diagonal so that it goes and connects with the top of my new score line in the correct position, like so. There we go. Now it will work Now it looks better. So going back, we have folded over our second score line, creating a valley fold, and now we're going to fold back on the new correct score line, creating a mountain fold, and there we go. It's like a Z fold. And then we're going to come in and we're going to fold this last one back like so. And now we actually have a gatefold card. You know, normally a gatefold card is like this, correct? But because we have these extra little bits, we kind of have a winged gatefold card, working our way out like that. Beautiful. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to crease on our diagonal score lines. And to do that, we're going to go to our second score line, and we're actually going to create a mountain fold in this section that is at the top down to our 1 7/8 mark. Okay, so we're going to push that up. We're creating a mountain fold. So we're going to push the score line up the mountain from behind, like so, and that will automatically start creasing those diagonal score lines as valley folds. So we can give them a little extra, just a little squeeze, and then we should be able to collapse down this whole side and give it a nice score, a nice crease. We've already done the scoring. Now we're just doing the creasing. Okay, so now you can see we've pushed this top bit up to create a mountain fold. See how it comes up and creates a mountain like this, a little peak, and these are our valley folds. Okay, we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So we've got a valley fold at the bottom, but we want this top bit to become a mountain fold. So we're going to push this top bit up from behind, and then that helps us get those diagonal creases started. And we can just make sure they all work together. We fold it down. See how that's happening there? I'm a little bit askew. That happens sometimes. And crease it down. Now there's something still slightly off here. 1 1/4, 1 1/4, 1 3/4. Yeah, I'm not sure what is going on with my left side of my card today, but that's okay. We will persevere. Alrighty, so we've got our gables now folded. And so when we look at it from the front, we can start seeing sort of a house shape. And that kind of gives us that idea of like gabled eaves on a house or a gabled roof. Now there's one other step that we need to do, and that is to trim the sides of our card. There's 2 ways you can do it. You can either fold your card in. Let me just check something here. Yeah. I think I did something weird on that side too. We'll just keep going. You can either fold the 2 sides in and then just manually trim from the back, or you can go ahead and cut it the way you would normally do it. Now let me just I think because mine's a little off today, we're going to do the manual cutting from the back side. But what we should do, I will show what we should do. We're going to line it up here on our mat. Gotta love live video. You know, you make the prototype and it's perfectly perfect. And then you do a live video and it's a little less than perfect, but that's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to come here where we have marked it already at the 1 3/4. We're going to bring in our trimmer. Let's just do it the way we're supposed to do it. We're going to bring in our trimmer, and we're going to trim from that 1 3/4 mark that we marked to the top of that score line, creating the same angle that we created with the gable folds. Okay, so now when it closes, look at that. We've got a nice little peaked roof. And then we're going to come to this side. We're going to trim from our mark up to this top angle. I'm going to turn it upside down just to be confusing. And we're going to line it up there and trim it off. Excellent. Alrighty. So now we have our peaked gables on our card. We can go ahead and start decorating. That is the entire mechanism for our card. Now it's just a matter of decorating. And so we're going to bring in some of that gorgeous Nature's Sweetness pattern paper, DSP. And so look at this. This is gorgeous. It's got lovely little cocoa beans and some, let me see, we figured out what this was. There's vanilla, cocoa beans, and what was the other thing? Oh, plums. Yes, vanilla, cocoa beans, and plums, which I think is just gorgeous. I guess that's where they get the Nature's Sweetness. And this is going to go in this center section, but I want to cut it so that it fits the shape that we have now created with our gables. And so we're going to do a little bit of measuring here. We're going to line it up, grab our pen or our pencil, and we're going, so this is 3.5 by 5 1/4, and we're going to mark the top at 1 3/4 inch. Just make a mark there. And then we're going to come down the left side, 1 3/4 inch, and make a mark. And the same to the other side, 1 3/4 inch on this side. We're going to bring back in our little trimmer, and we're going to trim these. So lining up our marks, just like that, snip. Now we're going to come to the other side, line up our marks, top and side. It takes a little bit of seesawing, I find, to get those things lined up. There we go. Now, because we marked that with our pencil, we may want to come in and just check and see if there's anything we need to erase. I just realized we should have done that on our cardstock as well. We can erase those lines that we created. There we go. And now, fingers crossed, our paper should fit in here, and we're going to give it a little bit of a trim. Because did I write down 5 1/4? I did. And yet I cut a 5 1/2. So, like I said, what I told you was okay is 5 1/4. It's just the reality is a little off. There we go, 5 1/4. So now we can stick this in here, centered on this panel. Let's add some adhesive to that. And we're not adding any foam to this. We're going to keep it flat. You will see on the back side of this DSP a gorgeous gold foil pattern. Let me just lift it up so you can see it. And this Nature's Sweetness DSP, one side is gold foil and one side is just inked pattern. And isn't that beautiful? There are 6 different double-sided sheets in this collection that have gorgeous patterns on them, and you get 2 of each of them. So it's a 12 sheet, 12 by 12, the specialty DSP. Okay, I'm going to turn this sideways so I can line it up a little better, making sure our point is in the center, like so. And there we go. Lovely. And now you can really see that gables really popping out there. Now let's add some more specialty paper. I've got a couple things here. I've got some more of that beautiful gold foil. This is in a leaf pattern. Beautiful. It matches the leaves that you see here in this pattern. And this has been cut to 1 5/8 by 5 1/2. And I've got 2 sheets of it. So 1 5/8 by 5 1/2. Then I have 2 pieces of this pattern, which is sort of a distressed grid on the pebbled path colored DSP. And these are 1 3/8 by 5.5. Now, the length you will notice is 5.5. And that is because these pieces are going to look like they're going off the card at the top and bottom. That's the look that we're going for. So let's go ahead and center these pieces on top of each other. So we're going to have a nice little rim of that gold just popping out from behind the Pebbled Path DSP. There's some more gold foiling. Oh, it's so gorgeous. Let's go ahead and we'll add some adhesive to this one. Like so. And there. Oh, there's what I was looking for earlier. Take your pick tool. I'm just going to pull the backings off these. And we can center them on that lovely DSP, letting that rim of the gold foil shine through. There we go. And we'll do the same with this one. Just centering it from side to side. The papers will line up top and bottom. And then, of course, we're adding more adhesive. Like this. Now, I may run into a problem because there's something funky going on with my left gable. The west wing. The west wing of my gabled house. So my gabled house might look a little odd here, but we will continue on, and then at the end I will show you the other one that'll look probably a little better. So we're going to take this and we're going to go to this last panel here. Now some of it's going to stick up, and that's okay. We're going to trim it off. No worries. So we're just going to lay that down like that. We're going to come over to this side, and this is the one. This is our west wing. Might have issues in the west wing. And we'll see if we can center this. Yeah, there's not a lot of that green Mossy Meadow showing because we've done something a little odd, but that's okay. It will still look all right. Let me grab my little scissors. Whenever you're trimming off excess, you want to flip to the back side, because then you can follow your cardstock and know that you're trimming exactly where you need to trim. You're not going to be cutting through your cardstock and making anything look higgledy-piggledy. And we'll just trim all the way across. You could use a trimmer for this. I find the scissors work just hunky-dory. And there we go. We've now got that lovely gold foil shining through with that Pebbled Path DSP on top and those beautiful florally goodness on the inside. Now there is one sheet of the DSP in this collection that has a gorgeous large motif, and there are 6 of these on each sheet. And so it's a beautiful circle with the lovely, this is probably the cocoa beans on this one. And we are going to fussy cut this out because I thought that this would just make a gorgeous, gorgeous addition to the front of our card and a real impact. I love that it's got that pecan pie circle in the background. There's a little bit of splattering of pecan pie, which we're actually going to fussy cut off, sadly. But it's beautiful. So we're going to trim around the leaves. We're going to follow the edge of the circle. And we're going to leave a halo of the background color around. We're going to treat it just like we were die cutting or going around a stamped image. We could even color this in if we wanted to, because no color has been added to those leaves or flowers. But we're going to just leave it plain. I'm loving the neutrals mixed with the foil in this one. In this particular DSP collection, Nature's Sweetness. So if you haven't had a chance to see it and look, at the back side of this is a lovely little grid with gold foil, much like this larger one in the Pebbled Path, but foiled, so that's beautiful too. We were having a good look at these this afternoon during our We Craft Wednesdays chat and craft. So I was going through some things that I just got in my order, and this was one of them, and I had to create with it right away. You ever get those things where as soon as you pull them out of the box, you just know you got it into them? This was one of them. Hey, Michelle, nice to see you're watching. Happy Wednesday. And we're trimming around our circle all the way around. Nice smooth trimming if we can. Circles are hard. They're the hardest thing to fussy cut. I can tell you that. I love fussy cutting, but circles, they're a challenge. So you just do your best. And there we go. We've trimmed all the way around. Now I want to add a little smidge of dimension with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be attaching this on the left side of our card. So I want to kind of just decide, left side, right side. Yeah, we'll attach it on the left side. And we'll kind of put it like that. So there will be a little bit of that leaf sticking up. We just want to make sure that nothing's sticking too far over the edge. And so I'm just going to kind of mark it with my finger where that's going to go. And in order to stick that on, I know it's not as sturdy as cardstock, the DSP, but we're going to use some Stampin Dimensionals. Just add some of these on here. Even though it's not as thick as cardstock, it will hold up. It will. And there we go. Got some dimensionals on there. I should say that the 6 motifs that are on the DSP that I've just fussy cut are all different. They're not identical. And that is super fun. I really hope my video is still playing because I have lost my video on the side. So let me just take a minute and grab it. I must have bumped my mouse. Not sure how, but I totally made my video disappear. And we're still here. It's all good. All right, let's go ahead and attach this on here. We're going to have a little bit of a stem sticking up on the left-hand side, like so. Lovely. And then we need a sentiment to go in the center. So I've gone ahead and I've cut out a piece of old olive. And to do that, yes, I'm using a different green. I am using the Stylish Shapes dies, and I use the middle of the squares. And these dies are stitched on both sides of the cut line. So even if you cut a window out of a card, there's still going to be a stitch line around where you cut out the shape, as well as on the shape, which I think is really cool. And so I've cut out this middle size square, which is just under 2-inch square. And on that, I'm going to stamp using a sentiment from the Country Flowers stamp set. This one I've used quite a bit because it's got some lovely sentiments. And the one I'm going to use today is So Lucky to Know You, because I think that's just a lovely sentiment. I'm going to grab some Tuxedo Black Memento ink for this. We're going to ink it up. Attempt to stamp it in the center. Like so. So lucky to know you. And let's stick it in the inside of our card. Now this particular card, not only does it look lovely with all the patterns and everything, but it's a nice profile when it's standing up on display after you've given it. And so because it's a card that looks nice standing on display, you don't necessarily want your message to always be broadcast to the world. So there we go. We've got our sentiment in there. But when it's standing on display like this with that lovely fussy cut icon there and the lovely gables, the beautiful foil and paper, we need a place to write. Plus the green, the Mossy Meadow, is a little bit dark. So on the back side, in this center panel, we're going to add a piece of white cardstock. So this cardstock has been cut to 3.5 by 5.25. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do some marking on it, just like we've done before. We're going to mark the top. Let me line up with an inch line. There we go. At 1 3/4. And then we're going to come down the side. Maybe I'll move it down so that the top is lined up with a line. We're going to come down 1 3/4. Same on the other side, 1 3/4. Then we're going to bring in our little trimmer, just because my trimmer is way too big for this process. Takes up the whole crafting table. We're going to line those marks up, trim them, trim the other way, like so. We can then use our eraser to erase our marks, so you don't have funny pencil marks here, there, and everywhere. Add our adhesive to the back. A little bit there as well. And then we can go and add it to the back of our card. And this will be the spot where we can write our sentiment. We could stamp a little bit of an image on here. We could add a little bit of the DSP to it. But I think we're just going to leave the maximum amount of space that we can for writing our message. And there we go. Now, of course, if you are a long-winded letter writing kind of person, you could add panels all the way across and give lots and lots of space for writing. But there we go. Let's add one more thing. We need some bling. We can't go without bling. So we've got some rhinestone basic jewels here. Just lovely clear jewels, because we've got gold going on. We've got pebbled path. We've got some pecan pie. So I think we'll just go with clear. Let's grab a big one. Stick one there like that. Then let's add a couple little ones and just grab them from all over the place. And we don't even have to put them all on the big icon. We can put some on the sides. And then, let's see, let's grab a couple up here of the little ones, like that. So we've got some little blings on there. And there we go. We have created our gabled card, starting with that beautiful Mossy Meadow. We added our gorgeous Nature Sweetness pattern paper to the inside. Then also on the outside, showing off some of that beautiful gold foil that's on every sheet. Cutting out, fussy cutting that large icon to add to the front. Our sentiment that just kind of peeks out when it's on display. And then, of course, our section on the back for writing our message. We've stamped this up with the country flowers on top of that piece that's been cut using the stylish shapes dies. And I think that is a lovely card. Now I'll show you the one I created earlier where I did get my scoring correct. And you will see that the edges do meet. This one had a little problem and the edges don't meet. I'm not sure how I managed that, but that happens sometimes. It still looks all right. But that is the one that I created earlier. We've got that lovely bling on there. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that gabled card come together and that you're inspired to try and create one of these for yourself. And if you do, take a photo, pop it in the comments when I post this on the Facebook page, and then we can all see and enjoy your artwork and be inspired by it as well. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you again soon. And don't forget our crop starts tomorrow. We're diving right in. We're exploring the oceans of the world as we do some chatting, crafting, and having some fun. All right, have a wonderful evening. See you soon. Toodaloo. Bye.